Oh,
What up?
You caught me texting.
Yeah, you was no. Why you gotta? Don't be texting while we supposed to be, having our little interview thing. We gotta be professional, Ismael. Yo, you having what up? Yeah, yo, your internet better not be messing with me today, Ismael, because
No. I was just putting my air. Just leave me alone. You're making me nervous.
No. How am I making you nervous? Why? No.
I get nervous doing these things.
But this is me.
I know.
Ismael, let's be a little professional. I'm gonna be professional. Welcome to Dulce, brought to you by the New York Latino Film Festival.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming through, man. How's your spirit right now?
I was thinking about that. How to respond. I've been thinking about how to respond in these days, because that I keep saying that often because we're warriors. We're people that are going through a lot of things and consistently and are grow up in the fight, are born into the fight. So you always want to give the best face. I'm good. I'm doing great. I'm thriving. You know what I mean? And then I was like, at this time, and sometimes that's a service, because I inspire people to just pick themselves up and keep going. But I think at this time it's so good. It's the most beautiful thing is to be vulnerable and actually keep people up to date with how you're actually feeling, and it makes other people feel okay about feeling vulnerable. And so I feel tired. I feel mentally I've been a bit exhausted. I've been protesting a lot, thinking a lot, talking a lot, doing a lot of these, and trying to rationalize what the hell is going on, and it doesn't have any.
You can't rationalize it.
It doesn't.
There's no way. The only way that we can is by putting in and doing the work.
That said, I feel so galvanized, so fiery. I feel so supported. I feel so ready, and I've already been, putting into action to have these conversations with even more strength and determination in spaces where before I felt scared to lose my job or to ruffle some feathers or lose some followers and X or YZ. And I'm like, listen, you're either with us or against us.
Yeah, well, because it comes at what point, is it about the followers or is it about creating change? Do you know what I'm saying? If we don't take this opportunity now, then we're going to keep living. You know what I'm saying? So we have so much work to do. We have so much work to do, especially on every level. But, in this genre, creating dialogue within the Latinx community, because we're so big. Do you know what I'm saying? And we don't have the same lived experience. We all look different. And we are all collectively going through pain right now. And I don't know, for me, the only way that I know how to remedy pain is with love. And that's why we created this space, to have dialogue in love. You know what I'm saying? Through love, so that we can build and create. And speaking of love, for those of y'all who out there don't know, I love this man. This man is my brother. I have known him since he was 18. Well, not 18, but ish. You were in college.
Yeah, we met, I think, when I was 19.
19. I met him.
20, yeah.
Yeah. And nothing has given me more pride than to watch your career blossom, from that little boy from Agua Buena to the movie star on my film and television.
Yeah, you're going to make me cry.
No, but it's true. And because I've gotten the privilege to bear witness to your journey.
Yeah, but I thank you. But you haven't only been witness. You've been a god uncle, a god brother, a god daddy. The support also. This has to go back and forth. I mean, this man also has supported me through my journey that maybe we'll get to talk a little bit about. But one of those times I was homeless, and I was in that couch, in this man's house. There was, those people. I hope that we're all so lucky to have those people that that you're going to pick up the phone and call, and they're going to pick up the phone for whatever it is. And that's one of them. And so it's beautiful to be here with you.
I love you.
We're going to cry. Look at us. We're going to cry.
I know. I'm like, right now, I'm feeling feelings. I'm like,
2 minutes in.
Right.
2 minutes in.
But that's all right. We got to experience this. So for those of you who don't know, tell us about how spirit led you from the campo to the. I don't even know what the right adjective for NYU is, because having lived through that. Whatever the fuck NYU was.
Whoa.
Tell me about that.
Well, I would say that just to, NYU is where I ended, but to hire or seeking opportunities of studying my craft, I would say, would have led me anywhere else. It was, as I said, like in Puerto Rico, and this is the right time to talk about it. There is a very unspoken, unacknowledged socioeconomic discrimination and racism, and against Puerto Ricans, Black Puerto Ricans, the people of Afro descent. And I grew up in a community that experienced a lot of that, that discrimination against. I would say everyone was a product of that discrimination. We're very poor, very poor, very high levels of illiteracy. I saw it in my family. A mom that also is like Dominic's second mom. She was a teenage mom. She must be somewhere. She was
Titi Carmen, what's up, Titi Carmen? I love Titi Carmen.
Yeah, she was a teenage mom. 15 years old. My dad, had to, graduate high school like on ¿cómo se dice? GED or something, that what you do your own self. I have aunts, uncles, grandparents that were illiterate. I grew up with them signing an X as a signature. And by nature or nurture, now we know that there are the energies in the world that touch some of us. I was able to see the grid right away. Even when I was little, I was able to see that grid, and I said, "What is this?" What why don't I have what on the town over in La Ciudad, in the city? Why don't I have what they have? And what they had was, I wanted to play the cello. Why can't I play the cello? Because we couldn't afford it. Why don't I have the voice? Where are the people in the TV, in the local TV that look like me? What does everyone here feel like they don't have a voice? And I was a very curious child, and I was always silenced. That question, and made fun of, because aside from color or my hair or my lips or my like that racial aspect of it, also my curiosity and my intelligence was always very. This is not for you. Like, you're not supposed to. Yeah, cállate. You talk when the adults talk. You talk when the chickens pee. That's another one, which you never see them pee, so children don't talk. So like, there was a voicelessness. I take a little bit of time to like. Said this is not a short answer because it goes into everything else that we may talk about today. That I did not start my journey as an actor because I loved an actor, or because I loved this one movie, or because not. I started my journey into all things, trying to find voicefulness, trying to find subjectivity, trying to understand how to bring my people into the fold of things, because you could hear, that's for eso pa lo otro, eso pa ello. You're always talking, that's for the others, and there's a very clear notion that all things privilege, all things education, all things art, all things mental health, all things opportunity are for lo otro, the other class. They're not for you, and you internalize that. You grew up thinking that it's also that there's lo otro, the others, and you're over here, and this is this is where I am. This is where I'll stay. I can never strive. Pero I had this extinguishable fire. Yeah. That it never. So that led me to art.
You had a fight, and you still have a fight, and that is one of the things I always say, and I admire from you, because no matter what, the way you take up space, you know what I'm saying, and I'm here, and you go after what you want. I said little brother, but that's something that I look up to you as a big brother, because sometimes I'm like, I've had to learn that. I've had to learn not to pull back, because in this industry, oftentimes you're told the way you look is wrong, the way you talk is wrong, where you come from is wrong, and it's hard. And like you said, you start to internalize that. But your spirit as a fighter is something I have always admired. And the irony of one of your first breakout role was as a boxer, as a fighter. That doesn't escape me. And your last name was Campo, no?
Hector Campo, yeah. Hector from the mountains.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So my question to you is, you spoke about a little bit, what was the greatest lesson in the fight you've had to take? And fight obviously is a metaphor. Your greatest win.
I think one of the greatest wins, I would say a lesson in that whole thing is that in that journey, as it went on, I had to realize that I have to become what I wanted to see, and I had to occupy the space that wasn't occupied, and I had to open the door that wasn't open. So that was the greatest lesson. And then the wins I've been having along the way is that resilience is putting me, or it's made me become my dream. It's made me become the example that I needed. And I have the followers that I have and the fans that I have, I think are very connected to that and acknowledge that. And it gives me even more fire because, as you said, the fight continues.
Yeah. And the reality is, because I had a follow-up question, but I'm not going to add, because the reality is everything is a win if you choose to let it be. You know what I'm saying? That even those moments when we get knocked down, as actors, when we make the choice to pick ourselves up and step back into the ring, that is the fight, that is the work, and that is something that you do and you continue to do, and I'm in such admiration of. You've come a long way from Sesame Street, baby. But even in that, like, I had to talk about that, even though because we both come from, we both form a children's television star. And that journey's not easy.
That is not.
But like, one of the things that I value about my experience on Electric Company is that it continues to pay. Like, people be like, yo, I learned how to read by watching that show, or I learned how to speak English by watching that show, and it continues to give. So what's the ultimate lesson that you learned from your time on Sesame Street?
Yeah. I mean, I was full circle. Like, I was one of those people who learned how to speak English watching that show, like in Puerto Rico, So then I mean, 23, 24 years later, I am in the show teaching Spanish. But then I didn't want to, we're a different generation. And I wanted not only to be the guy that taught Spanish, but I wanted to be, I wanted to offer the viewership, because, different phase, I'm multicultural, multi-ethnic, Afro-Latino, the possibilities that they could have. So when they invited me to a writers meeting in the beginning, they kind of want you, like, to get to know you, to get to meet you, and maybe just get a little sense of your personality. I didn't know that. And I mean, writers meeting for me was, it was in 2 weeks. I took those 2 weeks and I went to work. So I showed up to that first writers meeting. The character still didn't have a name or anything, with a 10-page handout for all of the writers. I wrote my mission statement. I wrote the name that I thought I should have. I wrote possible storylines for him. I wrote, different nicknames from the name. That's where Mando came from. But I was like, Mando is like, it's like Kike, which is my nickname. Kids love those 2-syllable names. Mando, Kike, Rafa, Papo, I wrote.
Didn't you also come in with the new version of I Love My Hair?
I love my hair, but I love my hair. I had already written for my audition. That's how
Okay, and that was iconic.
I wrote that because there was the I Love My Hair that Joey Mazzarino wrote with one character, Segi, and for his daughters, because he has 2 dark-skinned daughters, and he wanted to write that for them, and that became just a beautiful anthem. But then I also, when I went, I was like, there's this experience that also the Afro-Latino boy, the black boy, also has, in this journey with our hairs, and that we also, had a huge afro. I mean, it's coming back with this COVID situation. But it's, to talk about that experience as well. So I surprised them at the audition with the new version and arrangement of a full song in Spanish of I Love My Hair, like a duet. And then from that, when I got the role, we turned it into a duet and it became the song.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but the thing that let's finish this question. I fully said, we need to show the kids that creative creative professions or creative pursuits can be professions. Like
Mm-hmm.
we not only the engineer act, which we all need, but it's like the engineer, lawyer, doctor thing that they teach us that we need to have. No, we also need to see. There's an episode where I am sketching. There's an episode where I'm I'm painting. There's an episode, so consistently inviting kids to use their voice through whatever they could. So it's not only this flat character. It's a different generation. So they need to learn all those things. And the biggest lesson that I learned is that you can't play with what you're teaching the kids. You have to be intentional and thorough. So the power of what you say and the how you have to take it at heart because of the responsibility. So I learned that so deeply, and I've taken that into the other jobs that I've done.
Well, that goes back to giving voice and that freedom. You know what I'm saying? It goes back in service of the mission statement.
Yep.
And you have an artistic mission statement. No, at one point, didn't you? Like, I remember you talking about them.
I wrote it, and that who helped me do that. Also, we have a fellow godfather.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Candido Tirado. I had this big decision. Yep, I said, Papa, Candido y Carmen. They're like our
everybody's theater.
The home. They're the home. They nurture so many young actors and
there's a lot of family in the building. I saw Patty Dukes up in here.
Yeah.
From El Puente. Shout out Peter. Amazing. Yeah, amazing.
But yeah, he was like, I had to make this decision when I need to get there's a role that I was like debating, should I get it, should I not, should I get it, should I not? And he said, listen, sit down, write your mission statement, but like actually do it. And any decision that you take based on that, whether you're yes or no, you will not experience regret. Because that is, you define what it is that you have to do. So you won't feel any sort of way, because you won't be straying for it. If it doesn't add to that mission, you'll be good. So I wrote that down, and I said no to the role because it didn't, the way that it was portrayed, it was an Afro-Haitian young man. But it was flat, man.
Well, no, yeah,
it was not the service.
And I just want to give power to what you did, because going into that writer's room with a 12-page statement is not easy, because those writers oftentimes are not trying to hear it. I've been in the Sesame Workshop. You know what I'm saying? I know what that is. So for you to go in there and take up that's how you take up space. The fact that they were able to listen and be open is huge, and that speaks to your power.
I mean, I came in and they were clipped, they were formatted, I came in and I handed them out. The thing is that nobody was
prepared for
to even adjust. It was just like, okay, but they got into it, because I think they were, the blessing and the curse sometimes for us, the weight is that we have to be so thorough. Sometimes we don't have a chance to play. We don't have a chance to be spontaneous, because everything that we do means a lot. People put meaning into it.
That weight.
Yeah. So you a lot of the times you can't leave any gaps. You can't leave any gaps.
How do you handle that? Because, after, Sesame Street, like, your career you have been so blessed to occupy spaces that traditionally we don't get to be a part of. Like you were in Mary Queen of Scots. Like, you're in Star Wars, homie. You're like, and so like the next version of like Lord of the Rings. Like, how do you manage that?
I mean, perdón.
Yeah, no.
You're gonna finish your question.
That's it. Yeah.
How do I manage that? I think, again, it all comes back to like that center. Like, I'm not, I love acting and I love what we do, but it's the medium that carries my fire, is the medium that carries my mission, So I'm very connected to that. I continue to be driven by the power of what we do and how it improves in one way or another our lives, because what we do creates culture, shifts culture, represents, opens doors. A lot of the times, a lot of things start getting aired through movies, through through subtle messages, you know. So
because the kids are watching, the people are watching, and they see you.
People are
and they're
watching.
Like, he can, so I can as well.
Yeah. And once you represent something for the first time, which is the hardest, no one can have an excuse. For example, there have been I've never seen, and I researched to be able to make this statement. Never seen an Afro Latino or playing anything on a period piece that wasn't a slave. You know, so I was playing an Italian historical character, white guy. You know, and now, you know, there's a lot of like, oh, but that I don't know how that's gonna be. Any other actor that goes now and goes to a casting and they're like, oh, but I don't know, he did it. So what's that?
Yeah.
He did it and it was success. He did it and it was powerful. So I can do it too. You know, that opening of the doors. You know, and it takes a village. It takes you. It takes all of the team. I mean, the family that we've had, the support that I have, the theater family that we have, and also, I mean, I have a great team of representatives that also knows what's up, and they know what's up,
and who are fighting for you. Do you know?
Yeah, they know what the fight is. They don't pull me. They know in the same way, and they know it. They don't pull me into directions that are not aligned with what I have to do, because they know I will politely either have a discussion. I will have to fly away. You know, so.
And sometimes not politely, because you don't always have to be polite.
No.
So what would you tell, because I'm sure there are a lot of spirits out there in the chat who are performers. What would you tell those people, those individuals who, you know, oftentimes are, you know, let that voice kind of get inside their head where it's like, oh, I'm not what's on the page. What do I do? Like, what is your advice to them in terms of how we occupy that non-traditional space, that, you know, how the industry wouldn't normally see us?
There's just this process of you gotta just be centered in what it is, in your truth, in what it is that you feel. We as actors, we're in this search of the honest self. You know, you're always trying to find the honesty of the character. Why did they do that? You know, why are the circumstances? And I think once you connect with that and you believe that you are the vessel to tell that truth, you can't hold back. You can't hold back. You really cannot. So you have to zero in on that thing and fight anyone on your path. And the way you do it is entering the spaces. You know what I mean? You go in, you knock on the door, you show yourself, and you show what you can do, and you show that you are. I don't know.
You show up. You show up and you fight.
You show up.
You show up and you fight.
You show up
for the next person who's in the fight. You know what I'm saying? And you show up.
And that's the most important part of the character. Of course, this is, again, we're talking about broad, general situations, because there are roles, for example, that do have to respect the integrity of the representation, racial representation, and all these things. But the sadness, the unfortunate part is that the vast majority of the roles, they're just arbitrarily not of color.
Yeah.
So
it's assumed. It's assumed this way.
Yeah. It's assumed. So you have to go in and be like, why not me? You have to go in and fight for that thing. You have to go in, and if you understand that the thing can be of color, you show up, and you show up, and you write a letter, and you write a letter to the other person, and you show up with your headshot. I've done all those things.
And kill it, and be, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Don't show up and be like,
show up and take up that space.
You show up, and it's happened. You show up, and I got a role like that when I did The Good Wife. You show up, the people are like, let's rewrite this thing. You know, let's rewrite. And you should the
breakdown for The Good Wife, and that was clearly written as white.
It was an Irish American guy, and it was Jimmy Patrick. I started this thing right away.
Right away.
I started snatching those roles.
I came in with that. I was at your audition. That's how we met. Not for Good Wife, but at NYU
for Candy show. But that's the thing. You have to show up, and you have to show up ready, and you have to show up just like whole and prepared. That's the thing. Don't leave any gaps. Be an undeniable force. Even when you leave the room and you get a no, you can still be an undeniable force. You will ripple through those minds in a way that they know, and they will make those wrong decisions, but they know they're making the wrong decision. And that's how you do it. You make that you make them know that they're fucking it up.
Yeah, and Papa, you
Not,
do that so well. You do that so well because we've had many a conversations with that, like, yo, they call me back. They call me back. I didn't get it.
yeah, if I know in my heart that that is what I have to do, that is a role that I have to play for more reasons than one, that my people deserve to be in those spaces, I will not take a no. Even after that show is aired and there's another character, I know that that was not right, and I know that they know. And how do I know? Because those people always come back, and they always call you back, and your name stays there, and that casting director calls you, and they say, I wish we would have cast you. I wish we would have fought harder for you. And you infect them with that thing, and they start fighting so hard for you, and then your career starts rolling, and they know when they're gonna throw a wild card in the room, you know, they're gonna be a little subversive against the director. They start plotting with you. You know, your allies. You know, I've had many white female casting director for the most part being allies, and they, you know, the breakdown is 100% white, and they go this wild card. You know what I mean? And they start throwing wild cards, whatever the hell that is. But they become part of the thing.
Yeah. You know, you said something that resonated with me, like on such a profound level. It's like, that's for all artists. You have to create work that is so good that people will fight for it. Because as a programmer with the New York Latino Film Festival, those are the works they get in. Because we literally sit around the table and fight. I want this. This one moves me. This is because it moved me. It's gonna move this person. And you wanna create that stuff, the work that's undeniable.
Yeah. And people have. That's the other thing. The business is also a human business. Like, people do like to sit. The way they make these decisions is through discussions. People do like to learn. People do learn. A lot of people do want to help, and they're spread out through the system. You know, because this is also a business and it's a system, and they're spread out. And you keep touching these people, and when you bring your humanity, and you speak forcefully, and you show up, but you have to actually show up. You know,
that's the one.
You know, they wanna collaborate, they wanna engage. They start finding that your purpose, they can adopt your purpose, and it gives them purpose. And then all of a sudden there's this chain of people trying to make it right, you know, from all sides. And we keep rising, and I've seen that in my life. You know, I have beautiful relationships with casting directors and producers and young executives and directors, and people start changing their perspective, but you always have to be centered in that.
So we're at a time where we're going to take some questions from the chat. I'm going to ask that you write your questions and put them in the chat box, because that's how we like to facilitate it. While our people in the chat are doing that, tell us about The Undoing. That's your next project. It's coming out on HBO.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be in October. We're supposed to premiere, but COVID, as we know, pushed a lot of dates. So they pushed it to October. I believe the end of October. That's a project that I have with Nicole Kidman, Donald Sutherland, Hugh Grant. You know.
Yeah, just a Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, I was always a fan, and it was a beauty to actually work with her.
And then,
what
can you tell us without getting fired? Because I love that you about Lord of the Rings.
I know
you're in Lord of the Rings. Do you remember?
I'm in Lord of the Rings. I always. It was a dream. It was a dream. It was. I loved those movies. I was a humongous fan, and then that thing started, and I got the role. It was like about a 6 to 7 month audition process. We met through it, right?
We met. I remember. That's what I'm saying. That was one of the. I mean, I don't want to shit. You know what I'm saying? But like, I remember that process. You know, and you being like, like it was. It was
up and down and up and down, and a lot of fights. And I fought, never took a no for an answer. I wrote many a letter. And, yeah. I was ready to. I mean, that's the thing. As your circumstances change, you have to do things in a passionate way that are not desperate, you know, because we have to stay also with dignity. You're not going to show up in desperate and try to, but things that go outside of the box, you know. I've showed up in places, I've been at parties, I've left my headshot somewhere, you know. I've knocked and knocked and knocked and knocked on that door, and they're like, oh my God,
Let him
give
in.
me that headshot, you know. And I did that for this as well. And I'm being super like general because it's quite secretive, you know,
Yeah.
the
No,
show,
totally.
and I support it because it's so beautiful that I think everyone should have the opportunity of just diving in from the first episode without a lot of things. But that said, me being in this project is groundbreaking, and
Yes, it
it's one of the
is.
biggest joys of my life because I'm proving once again with the support of my people, my ancestors, everybody that has supported me,
Woo!
that we can be in those spaces. We
Yes.
deserve to be in those spaces, and we belong in those spaces if we want to.
Amen. Yeah. We could be in Lord
So,
of the Rings and we could be in space. Mandalorian episode 6.
yeah,
Mandalorian
that is
episode
wild though.
6.
That was wild to be Star
That is,
Wars and
I mean,
also
that's a
Lord
whole
of the Rings.
nother day. But I want to get to some of these questions real quick. What is your advice on a young actor career trying to make it a career in film? Just one thing, in addition to everything that we've been talking about this
In
past year,
addition to it
something new.
all,
Yeah.
you must prepare. You must train. I think you need to ask. You need to find whatever ways that you can train, and that doesn't mean entering like an elite institution. You don't need to go. I mean, if you do get there to Juilliard or this or an NYU or yeah, like if you get to all those any of those programs, bless you.
Yeah.
But you can train at home.
Well, it comes in
You can,
different forms. Like I always say, because I went to NYU, but my greatest training has been working with young people in high schools. You know what I'm saying? Working with
yeah.
the young people in New York City, because if you can make them believe stuff, like that's it.
On
That's
your
the thing.
feet. Like that's the thing. You can do readings. You can do cold readings. You can work in schools reading the kids' plays.
Yeah.
You can also listen. This is it's an iPhone. If you want to do film, you need to understand the medium of what you're doing in the screen as well. So put that screen there. Record yourself learning a monologue or a monologue that you wrote or whatever, and watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And check it again and watch it and check it again and watch it, and you start understanding the because it's like the performance is one thing but also the medium is another. So like you can find different resources at home to hone your craft. Read, look, watch these lives. There's so many things out there. Find a badass friend that knows about the thing, do a monologue for them, and they're gonna say that sucked. This and this and this and that. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. And lift each other up. You have plenty of people like in the industry that have not formally trained but are still masters of their craft and artists. So doesn't matter.
Beautiful. This is a good question. Did you ever feel like giving up everything after so much rejection?
Yeah. I've many times.
Can I share a story?
Given,
Can I share a story?
Yeah.
Remember when we had noodles? In that January, and you were so down. You were so down, and I remember like, Papa, you didn't go through all this to fucking quit. Because I remember you were like, and like 2.5 weeks later, you like booked right down. You were like, I'm like, wow.
That was the biggest.
Quit, motherfucker?
That was one of the ¿cómo se dice? Most rock bottom moments that I've had.
I vividly remember that. It was like January. It was cold. We saw that show. We saw Tanya Sriracha's show at the Lake. Yeah. And then we had noodles.
Good memory, shit.
I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I was a lot of darkness and it's just by that point, a lot of people don't know because they say, overnight success. I've been acting professionally since I'm 15 years old. So it's about 18, 19 years already. So by that point, I had already been acting for, I would say, 13 years and knocking on doors and knocking on doors and knocking on doors. And, in homeless, I was just from couch to couch to couch by that point for about 4.5 years.
Yeah.
I had not had my own place almost 5 years. And and my spirit was just broken. Oh, so many close calls too. You know, so many almost this, almost that, almost this, and you see your life change in front of you, like what it could be. Because when a lot, you know, a lot of people don't know, like when you do auditions, there's many different rounds you do. If you get into the room, then you get a call back. Maybe you get a director producer session, and then you do a test. You know, when you do a screen test, by that point, you actually look at the deal.
Yeah.
You have the contract in your hands, but you still not, the role's not yours, but you have you read everything that would happen with your life.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you're in a couch.
Your bills are paid.
There. and then all of a sudden you get this contract that you're signing that tells you you're gonna make $100,000 in 4 months or 3 months or whatever it is. It's like, and then you don't get it. The sinking feeling of going back to sleeping in that couch, of having to pick yourself back up and do another audition and start all over again was quite wild. But you have to seek out from your people that know your spirit, that remind you didn't come this far to quit right now, you know, and just realize, is this it? You know, is this what you want to do? Pero, and you can talk about this, and many people can talk about this, when you experience the surrender. And yeah, I got chills. Who else got chills? When you experience surrender, a lot of times comes through those rock bottom moments. And I experienced surrender in that moment. I was like, something's got to give. There's nothing else. What? I'm at the bottom. So what else is there? Just all this possibility. So I was like, I'm just going to give in. I'm going to give up what I've been doing so far. And I'm just going to be as honest as possible. And as fearless as I can be. Because what do I have to lose? Because I ain't got nothing to lose.
Amen.
And that's when everything went like that.
Literally.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so proud of you. We are out of time.
We are
out of time. And I just want to thank you for taking this time. I want to thank all of you out in the chat for coming and hanging with us. You know, you could be anywhere right now, but you chose to be here. And I hope that we fulfilled our mission statement, you know, creating a space of love where we can share and uplift, you know, work in the film and television from the Latinx community. You know, we are big, we are beautiful, we don't all look the same. You know, but I just want to say how much I appreciate you and how much I love you and how much work we need to continue to do.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm going to echo that. Thank you so much for being here, everybody, for the support, for being here with us. Thanks for giving me this space.
Always.
Dominic and the Latino Film Festival as well, Calixto, all these people. And in this time, this very specific time that we're living within our communities as well, please amplify the voices of Afro-Latinos, because you all can't be blind at the fact that there's also, you know, this bias and discrimination within us, and you can find an Afro-Latino and also amplify their voice, okay? Because we do go through a lot of the experience and a lot of the discrimination that we're fighting in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement. So,
las negras importan.
Así mismo, eh? So thank you so much, y'all.
I love you.
Thank you so much.
I love you.
Love you too.
I love you.
Love you all. Bye.
Peace. Love.